Good morning to all the participants and welcome to our second session on decimal fractions. If you recall what we had discussed in our first session, I will summarize what we did in the last session. We saw that decimal fractions is not a new subject. Decimal fractions is just fractions which are written in place value. So it is a combination of what we know about fractions and what we know about place value, which is writing a number, making a number in houses. And for fractions, we create a house of 1 by 10s, a house of 1 by hundreds. That is what we saw in the first session. Recall that we are making numbers, we are placing numbers, we are writing numbers. While making numbers, we are making the numbers in two different ways. We could take our ones, which are these squares, and we put 10 of them together, and this is our 10, and we put 10 tens together and we get a bigger square, which is our 100. All this we did in the last session. We also made number cards to represent these numbers. So if this is 100, then we also made a number card of 100. You can think of this as a 100 rupee note. And then there is the 1, which is a card which has 1 written on it. And then there is the 10. So we have two ways of making the numbers. We can make it with our decimal kit, which we ourselves made last time using graph paper, pasted on a sheet of paper, or we can make it with these number cards. And then we can place it in the houses. We can write the names of the houses. If you recall, this was one way of writing it, the house of hundreds, tens, units, 1 by 10s, 1 by hundreds. Or we could write it like this, in numerals, hundreds, tens, ones, 1 by 10, 1 by 100. So there are different ways of making the number, of writing the number. And today we are going to learn yet a slightly different way of writing decimal fractions using something known as the decimal point. But let us begin by doing a bit of revision of place value and of division. These are the two things that we need to be quite familiar with, quite confident, because as we know, fractions comes out of division, and place value, when we write fractions in place value, we get decimal fractions. So let's begin with the problem. Today we have with us just one participant, Jyoti, because Nandita has her exams and she cannot be with us here today. So Jyoti, are we ready to start with some problems which will be revising place value? Okay. I want you to take the number, make the number 21 using these cards which you have made. So please make 21 and keep it on a slate. On a slate, okay. So can you place that now in the houses? So you have placed 2 tens in the house of tens and 1 in the house of ones. All right. Now keep that 21 aside which you have made. And my next question to you is, can you make 21? Can you give me 21 in a different way from what you have made right now? Can you tell us what you are doing?
I put 110 in 10's house and I putting 11 in 1's house.
So 21 is, how is that 21?
By 10 plus 11 is 21.
10 plus 11. You're making it with 1 10 and 11 ones. Okay, very good. So now that is 2 ways of making it. First way is 2 tens and 1 1, and the second way she has made is 1 10 and 11 ones. Is there any other way of making 21 that you can think of? Before doing it, can you think of it and tell me? How will you do it?
I put 21 in 1's house.
You will take 21 ones. Okay, do that. So that is 21 ones which are there in the house of ones. All right. So you have made 21 in 3 different ways, and you have kept them in the houses which you have prepared on your table. Now let's write each way. The first way that you made 21, can you write it? So you have made 2 tens and 1. The second way that you made 21, how will you write it? And you've also written the third way before I asked you to do it. You've written all 3 ways. So 2 tens and 1, 1 10 and 11, and 21 ones. Okay? And all of these are equal. So in place value, you can write and you can make numbers in different ways. Now I am going to give you some problems, and I am going to use a new word. What you have written here this 21, where there are two tens and one 1, I am going to call this the tight form. And these are loose forms. Like, these are the forms in which there is a lot of chiller, a lot of change. So we call it the loose form. And this form is called the tight form. So now I am going to write a number on the board in the loose form, and you have to tell me what is that number. Okay? You have to tell me how many rupees this is. Okay? You have to tell me what is the number. Tell me the name of the number in the tight form. So this number which you just did, the name of the number was?
21.
21, right? So like this, I'm going to now ask you some problems. You have to tell me the name of the number. What is the name of this number?
31.
31, right? What is the name of this number?
44.
44. What is the name of this number?
25.
25. What is the name of this number?
125.
This is 44.
35.
So this is not 125, right? You have to see which is the house in which I am writing the numbers. So this is, it looks like 125, but this is not 125 because this 1 is in the house of tens. And these 25 are in the house of ones. So this is 35 and this is
44.
44. This is not 224. This is not 211. This is 31. This is not 111. This is 21. Okay. So now this is some revision about place value which we have done. I am now going to ask you some more problems. So now let us do a bit of revision of the operation of division. We did place value, and since fractions comes out of division, let us do some revision of division with a problem. Are you ready, Gyan Jyoti? So Gyan Jyoti, take 40 rupees and divide it equally among 4 persons. How much did each get?
10.
10 rupees. The next problem is, keep your slate empty. Take 50 rupees now and divide it equally among 4 persons. So you have 10 rupees remaining, which you have to divide among 4 persons. So what will you do? How much is that in your hands?
10.
10 rupees. And what have you done?
I divide 10 in 4 peoples.
Okay, do that. So now, how much does each one have?
2.
In total, each one has how much?
12.
12 rupees. And what is remaining?
2.
2 rupees. Now I want to divide 2 rupees equally among 4 persons. So each one will get
Half.
half. But I want to make half with the place value kit. So how can I make?
By taking 1 by 10.
Taking 1 by 10s. So if I take 2 ones, how many 1 by 10s will you get?
20.
20. Very good. So take 20 1 by 10s. And divide it among 4 persons. Each one got how many 1 by 10s?
5.
5 1 by 10s. So now, how much, when you divide 50 rupees among 4 persons, what does each one get?
120. Sorry.
What does each one get?
1 tens, 2 ones, and 5 1 by 10s.
And 5 1 by 10s. Very good. So, can you write that now in your slate? You can write it, yes, by so you have written 110, 2 ones, and 5 1 by 10s. Now this is not 125, right? This is 12 and 5 1 by 10s. And we know that these are 1 by 10s because we have written here 1 by 10 or 1 by 10. Now let us come to a new way of writing, which is the same as this. But I am not going to write the names of the houses. I am going to show which is the house of ones and which is the house of 1 by 10s by putting a point, the decimal point. I will write this as, I'm going to write that down here now. I will write this as 12.5. This decimal point means that the number to the left is the house of ones and the number to the right is the house of 1 by 10s. Decimal point means that the left house is ones and the right house is 1 by 10. So I will write this as 12.5. Now I am going to write a number, and you have to write it in your slates in the correct houses. I am going to write it with the decimal point. You have to write it in the houses on your slate. The number is so that is how many tens?
4.
4 tens. How many ones?
2.
And how many 1 by 10s?
3.
3. If I have to write this in the expanded form, I will write this as 4 into tens plus 2 into ones plus 3 into 1 by 10. This is another way of writing. So I can write this as 42.3, or I can write it like this. Now I am going to write a number in this form, and on your slate, Gyan Jyoti, you have to write it using the decimal point. Are you ready? I'm going to write it here. What I'm going to write is the number of days in the year. How many days are there in the year? Let's recall, how many months in the year?
12.
12. And how many days?
360.
365 actually, 365. And after every 4 years there is one additional day. That is known as the leap year. That additional day is because actually it is not 365, it is 3 and okay, so there are 300 plus 60 plus 5, and then there is also 1 by 10 days, 2 of them, and 1 by 100 days, 5 of them. So this is actually the number of days in the year actually. This part here is the reason why we get a leap year every 4 years. Write this using decimal point. You can write the names of the houses in numerals 100, 101, 1 by 10, 1 by 100. And now we know a third way of writing using the decimal point. When we use the decimal point, we don't need to write the names of the house. That's all. Decimal point is not really a new concept. It just tells us where is the house of ones and which is the house of 1 by 10s. Once you know where the decimal point is, you know the names of all the houses. That is the purpose of the decimal point. So now, I'm going to give you a problem. You have to take half and write it in place value. How will you write half in place value? You just did it.
5.
5 into
1 by 10.
5 into 1 by 10. So what you did, you took half and you said that is the same as 5 into 1 by 10. But we know that 5 into 1 by 10, another name for this is? Remember, short form. What is the short form of this?
1 by 5.
5 into 1 by 10, another name for that is?
5 by 10.
5 by 10, yes. Right? So, we also know that I can write 1 by 2 as equivalent fractions as
1 by 10.
1 by 2, then the next one is
5 by 10.
5 by 10. Any other examples? Remember, we were writing equivalent fractions. So here if I put 1 by 2 and here I put 4, what do I get here?
2.
2 by 4. That's equal to 3 by
6.
6 is equal to 4 by
8.
8 is equal to
6 by 12.
5 by
10. 10.
5 by 10. Right? That's just what we did here. So I just write the number in equivalent fractions. And I have to write the equivalent fraction so that I get down, I get 10 or 100 or 1000. Okay, let's do one more example. Let's do the equivalent fractions for 1 by 5. What is the equivalent fraction for 1 by 5? The next one is
2 by 10.
2 by 10. So I've got 2 by 10 here. So how will I write 1 by 5? How many hundreds on it? So how many?
0.
0. How many tens on your slate?
0.
0. How many ones on your slate?
0.
0. How many 1 by 10s on your slate?
2.
2. How many 1 by hundreds on your slate?
0.
0. I have to write this now using decimal point. So how will I write it?
0.2.
0.2. Got it? Okay. Now, I want to take this number half and write it in place value. So what is half in place value? Here, what will can I take hundreds?
No.
Can I take tens?
No.
Can I take ones? Can I take 1 by 10s? How many?
2.
For half.
One.
Take one. Take one. Take your one with yeah. and I have to make that with 1 by 10s. Take half of that. Take how many?
5.
5. Keep that in mind, right? So how will I write that in? How many 1 by 10s will I take?
5.
5. So I write half as 5 by 10. Right? And what do I write here? How many hundreds?
0.
How many tens?
0.
How many ones?
0.
How many 1 by 10s?
5.
5. How many 1 by hundreds?
0.
0. Okay. So now I want to take, this is half. I want to take half of half. So these are 5 1 by 10s. Take half of that. Divide it into 2 equal parts. What have you done?
I equal 5 1 by 10 and 2 equal parts.
Right. So what is one part?
2 by 5.
How many 1 by 10s?
2.
And remaining is
5.
5 what?
1 by 100.
1 by hundreds. So what you did is you took these 5, you divided them into 2 equal parts. So I got first 2 1 by 10s and the 1 by 10 was remaining. That you divided again into 10 parts, right? And of those 10 parts you took, each part there is?
5.
So when I divide 1 by 10 into 10 parts, then each of those small parts is?
1 by 100.
1 by 100. And there are 10 of those. So those are divided into 2 equal parts. So one part will be 5 of those. So 2 1 by 10s and how many 1 by hundreds?
5.
5. So what will I write here now? How many hundreds?
0.
How many tens?
0.
How many ones?
0.
How many 1 by 10s?
2.
How many 1 by hundreds?
5.
5. So I will write here 5. Okay. And if I write this in decimal, write it on your slate in decimal. Point. .25, right? And can you write it as an expanded form? That is 2 into let's see what you wrote. 2 into 1 by 10 plus 5 into 1 by 100. Very good. So I think now we have understood how to make and how to write it in the decimal form, write it in the names of the houses, write it in expanded form, and we will be using this in our next session as we go forward. But I would like you to recall that we have done nothing new. We have done just place value. We have done division. By dividing, we have made equal parts. We have written the parts using place value. Since we are doing fractions, we made place value for fractions. So we had a house of hundreds, tens, ones, 1 by tens, 1 by hundreds, 1 by thousands, 1 by 10,000s, and we saw that we could write fractions now in place value. We wrote the fraction half in place value as 5 into 1 by 10. And then we introduced the concept of a decimal point, which tells you that to the right of the decimal point is the house of 1 by 10, to the left of the decimal point is the house of ones. So 5 into 1 by 10 means 0.5, 5 1 by 10s. Then we expressed 1 by 5 as a fraction in place value. So we wrote 1 by 5 in equivalent fractions. 1 by 5 is 2 by 10. When we get 10 or 1 by 10, we know how to write it in place value. So 2 by 10 is 0.2. 2 into 1 by 10. The last problem that Gyan Jyoti did was half of half. Half of half was half of 5 1 by 10 pieces, because we saw earlier that half is the same as 5 pieces of 1 by 10. So that is 2 pieces of 1 by 10, and then the remaining piece, that had to be divided further into 10 pieces. That is 10 pieces of 1 by 100, of which we took 5 and 5. So half of half, which is 1 by 4, is 2 pieces of 1 by 10 and 5 pieces of 1 by 100, which we write as 0, 0, 0, 2 in the house of 1 by 10s and 5 in the house of 1 by 100s, or using decimal points as 0.25. So now we know how to write, make in different ways. Now we are ready to go ahead to discuss addition of decimal fractions, subtraction of decimal fractions, multiplication, division. We are ready to use decimal fractions for measurement. Measurement is an operation where you don't get exact answers. But with fractions and decimal fractions, you can be as exact, as accurate as we wish. And that is why now, since we know how to make and write decimal fractions, we are ready for measurement of lengths. This is also something that we will do next time. Thank you.